Okay, Mr. Walker, Mr. Brandon Walker. To be followed by Ms. Tammy Laura Hendricks.
How's everybody doing? When do I start right now?
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's my first time addressing. I came here to talk about water fluoridation. We have the city's water is fluoridated, as is most cities in the United States. The reasons for it are, my information is from the CDC and EPA, is that it is to reduce tooth decay and promote good oral health. And they have been doing this for the past 65 years, yet they did not get a study that proved that it was for good oral health until 1962, which is 50 years. So we've been doing it for 65 years, but only known that it was for good oral health for 50 years. On top of that, on the CDC's own website, it shows that excessive fluoride exposure is very common in children under 8, and that they have an increased chance of developing pits in tooth enamel. Also, excessive consumption of fluoride over lifetime may increase likelihood of bone fractures, may result in effects of bone leading to pain and tenderness and skeletal fluorosis. Basically, it's a forced form of health care that people didn't ask for. It was given to us. If you drink too much water, you can get you're supposed to drink a lot of water. Doctors recommend that you drink a lot of water, right? And if you drink too much water, then you're going to get dental fluorosis. You're going to get pits on your teeth. I've had it. To me, I didn't know what it was. I drank a lot of water, and I didn't realize that's all I drink is water. I asked that the city goes back to the original ordinance and save money, lots of money, on not fluoridating the water, or propose a resolution that would remove fluoridation from the water, because it's just needless spending. If people want fluoride, they can get it in their toothpaste. If they care about their dental health, they can get it in their toothpaste. But it says on the toothpaste, do not eat the toothpaste, because the fluoride is a toxic chemical, and too much of it will cause problems. And that's really what I'm asking.
Thank you, sir. Your time has
Councilmember,
expired.
sir?
Sorry.
Councilmember
Never
Christie.
done this before.
Over here.
Yes, sir.
I know sometimes you feel like you're a lone wolf beating against the industry and such, but I'm one that will tell you to hang in there. I'm not saying that yes, I am saying that the more chemicals we have in our environment, the more damage it is going to do to our systems. Dr. Hackerman, who's the longest-serving president of Rice University, told us in state education, if we could get children to understand nature, we'd have smart children. That was a powerful statement, because that deals with chemistry, physiology, physics, astronomy, geology, the whole works. And if someone understands how Mother Nature and the Father of Mother Nature works, it's a perfect balanced system. It's almost like saying that 50 years ago that, well, if we just put a little antibiotics in the water, we'll have less disease. On a chemist viewpoint, that might be right, but for Mother Nature, we're suffering now from overuse of antibiotics for 50 years.
That's correct.
It just doesn't work with Mother Nature. Growing up, we used distilled water. My dad knew that the chemicals in the water was not good, not just fluoride, but seeping into the water system from other things. Do you know that those filtered bottles that you get, they filter out the fluoride, they filter out the chemicals, and you pay a premium for that water? Mm-hmm. City of Houston, I'm sure they've got a very good water system, and it's well intended, but I agree with you, the less chemicals in the water, the better. The pure water that we can put out, because you're weakening the enamel with chemicals, all this new whitening, you're weakening the enamel, and the younger the child, the more damage. So when I recommend to children, I'd recommend the filtered water and not the tap water, because the less chemicals in the human body, the healthier you're going to be.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jackson. To be followed by Mr. Derek Brose.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Houstonians. I'm here to talk about water quality and the cost of fluoridation. What counts as water quality? It's difficult to say what counts as a water quality policy. I think one that is civil and fiscally responsible to the people should be considered. Water fluoridation, what is its purpose? That's the overarching question, I believe. What's the purpose of water fluoridation? If it is medicinal, it flies in the face of civil liberties. It's forced medicine upon the people, telling them it's water when it's all these other things. And we all know there's, contaminants and seepage and such, but this is something deliberately added. This is deliberately added at a cost of $1.25 million per year to Houstonians, and I think that's a lot of money for a lot of people in this room. But however, a few points I'd like to make. Since water fluoridation began, a few factors have changed. As mentioned earlier, there's an increased consumption of bottled water, meaning this water is not fluoridated that's reaching the people. RO filters are installed on houses and homes. In fact, so many are, we have a local industry, Dreamtree, which sells these things. Also, reverse osmosis machines are available at grocery, even convenience stores, parking lots. Therefore, much less Houston water is drank than ever before. Instead, an increasing percentage of fluoridated water is used in showers, laundry, car wash, and lawn care. Millions of gallons of fluoridated with no medical effect, good or bad. So however you feel about the question, more water is being not used in consumption, and therefore even less of the medical argument matters no matter where you are on that argument. This is literally money that's going down the drain. I urge Houston to join the hundreds of communities, yes, hundreds. Some, Lawrence, Kansas, College Station right down the street, Albuquerque, New Mexico. They have the civility to respect civil liberties and the good sense not to pour the people's money down the drain. Consider water fluoridation, ask what its purpose is, and dig deeper, please. Thank you much.
Thank you. Mr. Brose, to be followed by Mr. Emmanuel Arambula. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members, for allowing me to speak. I come here as a representative of Houston Freethinkers and Fluoride Free Houston, as many of us are here today and will continue to be for the next coming months, and as long as it takes for us to get this issue to be to the forefront and for us to remove fluoride from our water. We're doing this based on three arguments. Micah just spoke on the economic argument. The City of Houston is spending $5 million over the next 5 years to fluoridate our water. Beyond just the economic argument you just heard, there's also the many health problems associated with fluoride that have come to light in the past 20 years since Houston began fluoridating their water in the 80s. Initially, there was actually a fight to stop the fluoridation of Houston's water. It was unsuccessful, but we're here to let you know that we are still concerned, and since that original ordinance passed, there have been tons of studies and more professionals have come out to speak against fluoride. Currently, there are over 3,000 health professionals in the fields of health, medicine, science, education, environment who have called it for a worldwide end to water fluoridation and have signed a petition through the Fluoride Action Network. This is one of those professionals. His name is Dean Burke, a research biochemist with the federal government for 47 years and 35 years with the National Cancer Institute. He says, I estimate that there are now some 40,000 cancer deaths a year in the United States that are linked with and induced by the fluoridated drinking water, which 40% of the American population is forced to drink whether it wants to or not. 40,000 fluoridation-linked cancer deaths a year represent 1/10 of the total annual cancer mortality in the United States. Our third argument is the civil liberties of this whole matter, that, we're being forced to medicate ourselves. As Micah said, more people have access to dental hygiene, toothpaste. There's options for us now that maybe we didn't have in the past when this may have made sense. But if we allow the medication of the people of Houston and the people of the United States with fluoride, we can see that it'll go further. Just in the past 2 years, Senator Joe Lieberman made statements proposing that lithium be added to the water supply to help curb suicide rates. So that's an extreme measure, but it's something that could be further down the line if we continue this. I think my point for this and what the group is trying to prove, what Fluoride Free Houston is about, is that free people should be free to choose how they medicate themselves, how they treat themselves. So we advise you guys to look further into this. We will continue to come here as often as we need to, and thank you guys for your time.
There's a question from a council member, but I have one. You are aware that the Centers for Disease Control recommends continued fluoridation of water and actually recommends that fluoridating water be extended to those cities that don't currently do it.
They've actually recently reversed their position on that. We're prepared to bring information that we have for you guys. Also, a Harvard study that was done within the past 2 weeks.
I have no information that the Centers for Disease Control has reversed its position.
As well as the EPA within the past
There may
year.
be other scientists out there that have a different opinion, but the EPA has established a safe fluoridation level, and the Centers for Disease Control recommends to all cities that they fluoridate their water. I just want to get that on the record.
They have recently lowered that rate as well, but go ahead.
And we are
Is there a question?
we are in compliance with all federal regulations. Councilmember Christie.
Just to continue it a little bit, because I support your view. CDC has okayed many things that have been harmful for people in the United States, some of them reversed years later and such. Do you know that past 50 years, there have been 80,000 chemicals induced into our environment? You can put chemicals into our environment. That's food, air, water. And you have to present research to, and it doesn't even have to be okayed. In the United Kingdom, they have okayed 200 chemicals. And they have to prove the safety. In this country, you can put it into the food, the water, the air, and you have to be disproved to take it out. So we've added 80,000 chemicals, all harmful for the health of the human body. And this is just one of them. And I'm not saying that for 50 years they've done harm, it may have prevented cavities, but what prevents cavities are strong, healthy teeth, nerve and blood supply, brushing your teeth, exercise for circulation. The strong teeth does away, good nutrition does away with cavities. Not something just treating the symptom with a toxic chemical. That one of these research shows the risk of bone fractures, and early, from birth to 8, you're worried about destruction of the enamel. So all I'm doing is say, the city of Houston is doing a good job, gets high remarks for clean water, but I agree with you, we shouldn't have to add more chemicals to any more in the environment. This United Kingdom has 200 versus our 80,000. There's something wrong with that system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arabello, to be followed by Mr. Joseph Zinner.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Ms. Anise Parker, Mayor. My name is Emmanuel Arambulan, and I work at Whole Foods Kirby. I think I can speak on behalf of them that we appreciate your visit last week, and everybody was happy to see you for Q&As. I wasn't there that day. If I was, I would have spent time asking you questions. So today I'm here just to briefly speak that what Whole Foods provides in the Whole Foods market. We set a standard that is followed by many other food and markets. And one service that we provide there is fluoride-free and chloride-free water, which in the past year has increasingly become popular, and the sales have skyrocketed. And having said that, besides talking about the cost and the health factors, I would like just to promote that we have 2 new stores opening up in Houston, and other stores of that meet our standards in health of natural and organic living. And I would like to just point out that we do provide fluoride-free water for our customers, and more people, Houston citizens around this nation and around the world are being more of where of our water supply or their water supply. And just to quote Dr. Robert Cardin, former EPA scientist, based on the data of the National Academy of Science, current levels of fluoride exposure in drinking water may cause arthritis in a substantial portion of the population. And that's all I got to say for this moment, but I appreciate your time and have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Zinner, to be followed by Mr. Cody Adam.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Thanks for having us today. We appreciate the time. I'm also here to talk about fluoride. I'm a member of Houston Freethinkers and Fluoride Free Houston as well. I feel myself able to talk on this subject because I'm a chemical engineer that gave up being a troubleshooter for the refineries. It was my job to make sure the refineries were safe. If there was an explosion in the refinery or chemical plant, they came to me. And I felt that because of the food crisis and the water crisis in this country, that it was my responsibility to retire from that industry and start studying nutrition and how to troubleshoot the body instead of the refineries. What I found was that hydration and water quality was one of our major issues, and people were not being hydrated and having enough quality water. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about in my remaining time is choices. You know, we as a city of Houston, I'll just talk about Houston for now, have mostly made the right choice. When you look at what choices people are making for drinking water, everyone has bottled water. People aren't drinking the water that Houston provides as drinking water, and that's the correct choice. And I normally don't like the government to get involved in my choices. However, for people that don't have the ability to choose, like the children of parents that don't have the time to research this and get into this or may not even know that fluoride's in the water, for those children, I think it's our responsibility to remove the fluoride from the water, because I think the debate as to whether it's hazardous or not is not even a debate. It is a hazardous chemical. It's listed as a hazardous chemical. If the city of Houston did not buy it to put it in our water, the people that have it would have to pay for it to be disposed as a hazardous waste. That's not a debate. That's real. That's facts. So the choices that we have, we're adults. We can make these choices for what water to drink. But the children in our city don't have that choice, especially when their parents are working 3 jobs and don't have the ability to understand what's going on with the water supply. So I really appreciate the comments you've made, Councilman Christie. And I really suggest and hope that all of you can look more into it and do some research. There's some really compelling studies that have recently come out on this. A lot of people have known that this was going on for a while, but now the studies are there to back it up. And we would just like for you guys to take a look at it and really see the facts and what's going on right now. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Adam, to be followed by Mr. Adam will be followed by Mr. Christian Antonio.
I have papers for the council, if I can. Today, I am going to read to you a study that was just released last week by Harvard University. The title of the review of the study is Developmental Fluoride Neurotoxicity and a Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis. The background: although fluoride may cause neurotoxicity in animal models, and acute fluoride poisoning causes neurotoxicity in adults, very little is known about its effects on children's neurodevelopment. Objective: we performed a systematic review and meta-analysis of published studies to investigate the effects of increased fluoride exposure and delayed neurobehavior development. Methods: we searched the Medline, Embase, Water Resource Abstracts, and ToxNet databases through 2011 for eligible studies. We also searched the China National Knowledge Infrastructure database, as many studies on fluoride neurotoxicity have only been published in Chinese journals only. In total, we identified 27 eligible epidemiological studies with high and with high and reference exposures. Endpoints of IQ scores or related cognitive functions measures with means and variances for the two exposure groups. We estimated the standardized mean difference between exposed and reference groups across all studies using random effects models. We conducted sensitivity analyses restricted to studies using the same outcome assessment and drinking water fluoride as the only exposure. The test for heterogeneity, and excuse me, these words are a little out of my range here, between studies, the funnel plot, and the eager test to assess publication biases were performed. Meta-regressions to explore sources of variations and mean differences among these studies were conducted. And basically what that means is I guess they just studied, their different facts. And the results were the standardized weight mean difference in IQ score between exposed and reference populations was negative 0.45, 95% to CI 0.56 to negative 0.35, using a random effects model. Thus, children in high fluoride areas had significantly lower IQ scores than those who lived in low fluoride areas. Subgroup and sensitivity analyses also indicated inverse associations, although the substantial heterogeneity did not appear to decrease. Conclusion: the results support the possibility of an adverse effect of high fluoride exposure on children's neurodevelopment. Future research should be included detailed with individual level information on prenatal exposure, neurobehavior performance, and room for adjustments. So I would just like to say, until studies like this are looked at fully, we should stop the use of fluoride.
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired. Thank you.
Councilmember Cohen? Sir? Sir?
Yes,
Can you just make reference again to where this information was found?
This review was done by Harvard University.
Because it doesn't say anything about that on the page.
This is an excerpt from one of the sites that I found. It can be found in the environmental health perspective. I thought the link was actually on here. I apologize for that, but we will come next week with that link on there. But if you type in the Harvard study, it was all over the news. It was on all major news stations last week. So
Thank you.
It will be there.
So what am I supposed
Okay,
to
Ms.
do?
Ashmore?
Councilmember Christie, you have a point of privilege?
Just a point of privilege before that, because the water quality group had a summary. I'd just like to ask City Council to just think outside the box. I know something's been done for 50 years, and they pushed antibiotics for 50 years, and now it's overdone. They pushed margarine over butter, and they finally realized that was wrong. They drained the Everglades, and they finally found that was wrong. Pesticides and insecticides, just think about, and I didn't bring these folks here, but also look at them. If you had the chemical industry here speaking, these folks look healthy, they're calm, they'll be healthy in the future because they're protecting their internal environment also. Just think about that. It's a legitimate request, and it's not anything wild and crazy. It makes good, common, biochemical sense. So just consider what they had to say.